This is ATN Global News. First, the headlines. Rivers Sole Administrator promises to complete Assembly Complex. Reps deny collecting bribes to endorse Rivers Emergency Declaration. Federal government, states, local governments share 1.678 trillion naira for February. Petrol imports rise to 154 meters per million liters. Trump revokes security clearances of Biden and Harris. Ballot praises Oshimen's brace against Rwanda. Nollywood actress Nkechi Nweje dies at 60. Rivers Sole Administrator Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ekwe Ibas, retired, has vowed to complete the ongoing reconstruction of the State House of Assembly Complex project. Ibas advised the contractor handling the project to speed up work and deliver it as mutually agreed. The administrator gave the charge when he inspected the ongoing reconstruction of the new assembly complex located along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt local government area on Saturday. The retired naval chief noted that part of his mandate included restoring full and effective legislative activities in the state. The project was awarded to Monia Construction Company Limited, and work has advanced on the facility that has 34 offices on the two-story building with an elevator, gallery, meeting rooms, and conference hall. The sole administrator has said that in the last 2 days of assumption of duties, he noticed a missing pillar in the state governance structure and was determined to ensure that there was a place for effective legislative activities after 6 months. The retired Vice Admiral emphasized that he was appointed in the first place to maintain law and order, which will enable the state to go back to what it is supposed to be. He was accompanied by the head of service of the state, George Nweke, and was conducted around the site by the general manager of MCC, Omaka Oko. Morrissey Media Group celebrated its 2025 anniversary with a lecture on the role of private broadcast media in sustainable development on March 10, 2025. As a follow-up, the group organized a Sit and Sip event today, 21st March 2025, to honor its regular guests and analysts. These analysts, despite their busy schedules, have consistently provided insightful discussions and analyses on topical issues contributing to societal development. The event featured music, comedy, and other entertainment.
Monsignor paid flight that time. My first time to fly, Monsignor go pay flight 95,000. To just fly 45 minutes from Port Harcourt to Lagos. How will you pay flight 95,000? How much to charter Sienna from Waterlines? And for charter to one go dey front and dey back. When we boarded the flight, when they begin to share things for plane, I said they go share better food. Because it was my first time, they gave me one pack. When I opened it, I was disappointed. I saw 3 crackers, 15 naira. CEO got 100 naira. For flight, 95,000. You got one guy who should have my front. Every small thing go press one call button. Pim, pim. Somebody will come from the far distance of the plane, come meet and can I help you, sir? He go tell a problem, go off, I go. I said to myself, I go message tire. As he goes to that belt himself, on a line, come meet me. Can I help you, sir? Now ask her. When I want to arrive in Lagos, he said very soon. He offer. He goes to that belt himself, on a line, come meet me. What is the problem, sir? Now ask her. Is the pilot going with us? Of course, the pilot is going with us now. He offer. He goes to that belt himself, on a line, come meet me. Young man, please, what is the problem? Now ask him, are you going with us too? Of course, I'm going with you now. He offer. I said, today go suffer. As he reached there, belt himself, on a line, come meet me. Young man, please, what is the problem? Now ask him, are you angry with me? Let us close. I didn't come here to raise money. Please rise to your feet as we close. You come to hear there is someone crying over there. Man of God, I don't have 1 million, I would have come out. What I have is 500,000. Still come. Who give 1 million? Come to regret. You sign up for waiting. Waiting make me rush come out like this. Before you know, you enter 200,000, 100,000, 50,000, 1,000, 500 naira. Before you know, you go come to here, whatever you have, come and show. and you know.
Dr. Chinyere Igwe, chairman of Morrison Media Group, thanks the guest analysts for their efforts in shaping society. He encouraged them to remain neutral in their analysis, especially on political issues.
Don't be tired. Just like I said initially, we are setting the standard in Nigeria. But Morrison Group is giving you based on your intellect.
The awardees expressed gratitude to the Morrison Media Group management for recognizing their contributions.
I must say that I'm very grateful for Morrison Group to appreciating the analysts today. That's a sign that they really value what the analysts do here. And I must say this is highly commendable coming from the management of Morrison Group. It's a morale booster, and we won't stop giving back to society.
I feel very honored for this reception for analysts, appreciating their good work and service to the nation, their analysis and their knowledge and their intellect that contributes to the development of our society. I am very grateful to the Morrison Communication Group for this honor. It is inspiring us, it is challenging us to even do better, to do more and contribute more to the development of this country.
It is heartwarming in the sense that it will motivate every analyst to do more. I think this is a welcoming development.
It is good to give honor to whom it is due. For Morrison Group calling us together to, appreciate us with a certificate. I commend the MD Morrison Communications, Honorable Chinyere Igwe. I commend all the staff, all the workforce of Morrison Communications.
Oh, it's wonderful. I think you are taking first. In the French language, you say you are uno numero. Things like this, they are motivating enough, and they go to confirm that what we do is appreciated. So we know it's like giving back. So it's like giving back to those who also sacrifice to come and promote the vision. So I think also the timeliness. News is so important, especially around River State. So it's so important that we are honored this way, and we don't take it lightly. It's a great privilege.
What you guys are really doing a very wonderful job, and giving award to people based on their credibility and their impact in society is one thing I would want other media to emulate, because you guys have just set one incredible pathway, and I wish every other media should do it. And I also wish that people should continue doing this.
I was really honored today. I'm glad to be here.
Niger Delta Development Commission has provided financial support to 300 rice farmers in the Niger Delta, each receiving starter packs worth 200,000 naira to enhance rice production. The managing director, Dr. Samuel Oguku, said this in a statement on Saturday in Port Harcourt. The statement was issued by the Commission's Director of Corporate Affairs, Mrs. Seledi Thompson Wakama. The starter pack was presented to the beneficiaries during the closing ceremony of the second batch of the NDDC-sponsored training program for rice farmers. Ubuku, represented by the NDDC's Director of Agriculture and Fisheries, Dr. Winifred Madume, reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to transforming the agricultural sector in the region. According to him, the program aimed to expose farmers to essential skills in modern rice farming techniques, processing, and agribusiness strategies. Ubuku also highlighted the NDDC's ongoing collaboration with the International Fund for Agricultural Development to provide apprenticeship trainings for farmers in the Niger Delta. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has promised to reconsider his position concerning the controversial pension areas of Abia retirees. Oti made the promise while responding to a passionate appeal from Reverend Ernest Onyuku, who preached during the 80th birthday ceremony of Senator Chris Adigije at the Federal Medical Center, Omaya FMC Chapel on Saturday. The cleric had appealed to the governor to take a second look at his position and show mercy on the senior citizens. Oti blamed the leadership of pensioners for resorting to blackmail after signing a memorandum of agreement with the government on what to be paid to write off the backlog of arrears accumulated by his predecessors. Recall that after Oti had paid the accumulated arrears, the leadership of pensioners said they never signed to forfeit their gratuities. The leadership of the pensioners claimed they signed under duress, but the governor said they became mischievous after opposing politicians incited him to blackmail him. Abia pensioners now receive pension along with workers in active service on the 28th of every month. Gunmen have abducted 4 persons at the border between Insube and Nkweli in Oyi local government area of Anambra State. ATN gathered on Saturday that the incident happened around 9 p.m. on Friday night when the assailants invaded the community. Reports said one Mr. Dona Ayakalu and 3 of his friends were whisked to an unknown destination by the armed men. In a video clip making the rounds, the victims could be seen in pain as the abductors opened fire on them, leading to injuries. One of the victims was also seen making calls begging a relative to arrange money for their possible release. The spokesperson of Anambra State Police Command, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, could not be reached at the moment. Operatives of the Ogun State Police Command has arrested 8 secondary school students of Ifo High School for allegedly engaging in cult-related activities within the school premises. The arrested students aged 15 years are Bennett Bola Watife, Aluko Taiwo, Kehinde Aluko Y, Omalaso Waris, Akinola Ifolua, Aziz Hassan, Kilani Babatunde aka Soldier, and Fasedemi Samuel are age 16. Confirming the arrest to newsmen on Saturday, the police spokesperson Omolola Odutola said the arrest followed an alarm raised by the school headship over an emerging gang of students cultists. She noted that the suspects were perpetuating disturbances and extorting valuables from fellow students. Odutola noted that on investigation, it was discovered that the students are members of one future guys cult group and were allegedly initiated by 2 senior students identified as Ebenezer Ope and Ebenezer Toby, both in SS1. She disclosed that further investigation is ongoing to determine the extent of cult activities in the school, prevent further occurrences, adding that the suspects will be transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department upon the conclusion of preliminary investigation. The Commissioner of Police, Larry Ogunlowo, has directed that the students be brought before him on the next working day for further interviews where other referrals for counseling and mentoring will be organized. Ogunlowo, however, reiterated his commitment to maintaining law and order in the state, urging parents, teachers, and community leaders to collaborate in eradicating cultism from schools. Federal High Court sitting in Lokoja, Kogi State capital has set aside an earlier ruling that restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission from receiving the recall process initiated by constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The Federal High Court, in a landmark judgment delivered in Lokoja on Friday, affirms that the recall process is constitutionally valid and aligns with the civic rights of the constituents. The court urged the constituents to continue exercising their rights in an orderly and peaceful manner. The development was after the court on Thursday granted an interim injunction restraining INEC, its staff, agents, private or assigns from receiving, accepting or acting on any petition containing signatures of members of Kogi Central Senatorial District. The court also stopped INEC from conducting any referendum upon such petition for the purpose of initiating a recall process of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, pending determination of the motion on notice to the same effect. The injunction, however, restrains INEC, its staff, and agents from receiving or accepting recall petitions with fake signatures and conducting any referendum based on such petitions. The case has been adjourned to May 6, 2025 for further mentioning. Lere Olayinka, the Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and New Media to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has tackled People's Democratic Party chieftain Bode George for forcing the minister for the revocation of their party's National Secretariat land title in Abuja. Olayinka maintained that the party leaders should be held responsible for the party's failure to pay ground rent for 28 years, which led to the revocation. The aide made the assertion in a statement on Saturday, responding to Bode George's criticism of Wike over the revocation of the PDP's National Secretariat's land. The elder statesman had described Wike's action as a declaration of war against the party. Dismissing his claims, Olayinka accused the PDP elders of failing to conclude the purchase of the Walata Plaza property, which the party had attempted to buy in 2005. He revealed that the PDP was asked to pay 26.9 million naira to secure the ministerial consent for the property's purchase, but never made the payment. The party, he said, instead requested a waiver from then FCT Minister Nasser El-Rufai, citing financial incapacity, a request El-Rufai denied. He further questioned why the PDP failed to pay 7.6 million naira in ground rent over 20 years for its national secretariat land in the central area, despite raising over 21 billion naira in 2014 for the building's completion. Olayinka emphasized that the land revocation exercise affected 4,794 land titles, including properties belonging to government institutions such as the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. He advised Chief Bode George to seek accurate information before making public statements, insisting that Wike was only enforcing the law without bias. President Bola Tinubu has donated 7,000 bags of rice to the All Progressives Congress members in Zamfara as a Ramadan package. The State Publicity Secretary of the party, Yusuf Idris, disclosed this in the statements issued in Gusau on Saturday. He said that the distribution of the lakis was inaugurated on Friday in Gusau by the Minister of State Defense, Dr. Bello Matawale, represented by the state APC chairman Alhaji Tuku Dan Fulani. The minister handed over the commodity to the party's executives at the APC Secretariat Gusau. He said the gesture was a personal donation from Tinubu to reduce the economic hardship among the APC members and less privileged member persons in the state. The minister explained that the 7,000 bags of rice were to be distributed free to all the targeted beneficiaries, including the state executives, local governments, and wards executives. Matawale urged the party members to continue to pray for sustainable peace and stability in the state and the country in general. According to him, the federal government under Tinubu was taking all the necessary steps in tackling the menace of banditry and other criminal activities in the state and the northwest region. Matawale called for continued understanding and tolerance among the party members at all levels to bolster the unity of the party in the state. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. So stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. And now to the rest of our stories. House of Representatives has denied allegations that each member was induced with $5,000 to ratify President Bola Tinubu's request on the state of emergency declaration in Rivers State. Deputy spokesman of the House, Honorable Philip Agbese Benue, APC, while responding to the issue in an interview with journalists in Abuja on Saturday, described the allegations as false, malicious, and emanating from the pit of hell. According to Agbese, Thursday's resolution of the House on the state of emergency declaration in Rivers was done out of patriotism and in the interest of restoring lasting peace to Rivers State. He said the allegation that members of the House of Representatives were induced with $5,000 to pass a resolution is unfair to the Parliament. Very, very unfair to the Parliament, noting that what they did on Thursday was to align themselves with what he calls the wisdom of King Solomon. He said as members of Parliament interested in the peace and well-being of the people of Rivers State, they approved the state of emergency declaration in Rivers out of patriotism and not for any pecuniary consideration as being alleged. He said the Parliament in its wisdom made some key adjustments to Mr. President's emergency proclamation before ratifying it. Agbese said he believes that Tinubu, as a true Democrat, will not work against democratic institutions in the country. Agbese said the House, in its wisdom, equally resolved that a tripartite committee comprising eminent Nigerians, members of the Parliament, and members of the Executive Council, on the other hand, be constituted to ensure that the warring groups in Rivers State are brought to a round table and an amicable resolution is reached. Break, and when we return, we head right into the rest of our stories. Do stay tuned.
How far, Niger? Welcome to the Glow Cafe app. Come in. Because it's time for an upgrade. Your own personal Glow Cafe app open 24/7. Welcome to bigger, better, smarter. Welcome to total control of your data, your airtime. Mom, I'll call you back. How you buy? I'll send you data. How you share and how you recharge. Movies, gaming, music, all in one place. Welcome to More Valley. Download the upgraded Glow Cafe app and get more data. Get 100% recharge bonus and get a massive 100 gigabytes data bonus when you register. Want it all? Download all this into this.
Glow Unlimited.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has stated that suspending elected officials in Rivers State could tarnish the country's image. He made the remark at the Haskell Santu Marie Foundation colloquium in Abuja on Saturday. Jonathan, while sharing his thoughts about the political turmoil in Rivers State, said although it is not the norm for former presidents to comment on issues in the polity, so as not to heat up the polity, he insisted that the image of the country and how much investment a country attracts is heavily dependent on the actions of the executive, legislature, and judiciary of the country. Jonathan's comments on the emergency rule came after the People's Democratic Party governors contended that the President Bola Tinubu's actions were unconstitutional and threatened Nigeria's democratic principles. ATA reports that Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odu, as well as members of the State House of Assembly for 6 months. Federation Account Allocation Committee has shared 1.678 trillion naira among the federal government, states, and the local governments for the month of February. This is according to a communique issued by FAAC and made available by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Bawa Mokwa, on Saturday. According to the communique, the total revenue of 1.678 trillion naira comprised statutory revenues of 827.633 billion naira and value-added tax revenue of 609.430 billion naira. It also comprised electronic money transfer levy revenue of 37.171 billion naira, solid minerals revenue of 28.218 billion naira, and augmentation of 178 billion naira. It said that a total gross revenue of 2.344 trillion naira was available in the month of February. The communique said that gross statutory revenue of 1.653 trillion naira was received for February, which was lower than the sum of 1.843 naira received in January by 194.664 billion naira. It said that gross revenue of 0.456 billion naira was available from VAT in February, lower than the 771.886 billion naira available in January by 117.430 billion naira. The communique said that out of the total distributable revenue of 1.678 trillion naira, the federal government received 569.656 billion naira and the state government received 562.195 billion naira. It said that the local governments received total sum of 110.559 billion naira and a total sum of 136.042 billion naira, which is 13% of mineral revenue, was shared to the benefiting states as derivation revenue. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Uzef, on Saturday called on stakeholders to take deliberate actions that will ensure water security, local water conservation programs, and water saving practices. He made a call at a press briefing to commemorate the 2025 World Water Day themed glacier preservation in Abuja. World Water Day is celebrated each year on March 22 to raise awareness of the 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water. The minister noted that though Nigeria does not have glaciers and they may seem distant from its immediate water challenges, their preservation is still crucial for the global climate system, and the rapid melting of nature's crystal giants has contributed to extreme weather events globally, and nations far from glacial regions like Nigeria are not immune to these cascading effects. He said Nigeria is tackling challenges in achieving SDG 6 by implementing initiatives like the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene, the National Action Plan for WASH, and the Nigeria Sustainable Urban and Rural Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene Program, which aim to improve water access, sanitation and hygiene. He added that the country is also investing in water infrastructure, irrigation systems, hydrological research, and sustainable management of river basins and dams to ensure equitable and efficient use of water resources. West African Examinations Council has released the results of the 2025 computer-based West African Senior School Certificate Exam for private candidates. In a post obtained from its ex-handle on Saturday, the examination body said the results of the computer-based West African Senior School Certificate Examination for private candidates 2025 first series have been released. Reacting to the development, some students lamented inability to check their results. And now, on to the business news. House of Representatives is making moves towards strengthening the regulation of online and remote gaming across the country through a proposed central gaming bill. The legislation proposes clear guidelines for online gaming operators, emphasizing data protection and strategies to curb underage gaming and money laundering. Speaker of the House, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, during a public hearing on the bill, which seeks to repeal the National Lottery Act of 2005 and its 2017 amendment, highlighted the importance of a comprehensive legal framework for the growing gaming industry. The Speaker, who was represented by a member of the House, Honorable Patrick Omo, noted that the bill aims to increase revenue, promote responsible gaming practices, and align Nigeria's gaming sector with international standards. Honorable Chukwu Gozie Nwachukwu, chairman of the House Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs, emphasized that the public hearing served as a platform for stakeholders to share insights, ensuring inclusive and effective legislation. He expressed optimism that feedback from stakeholders will help create a law that supports national development while protecting Nigerian gamers both locally and abroad. However, Olajide Bola Duro, Director General of the Oyo State Gaming and Lottery Board, expressed reservations about the National Assembly's authority to legislate on the bill, citing the Supreme Court judgment. Stakeholders, including Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Special Duties, and Intergovernmental Affairs Dr. Onwusoro Iheme Landu, as well as the representatives of National Commissioner of the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, commended the bill for its detailed provisions, but raised concerns about the need for a dedicated regulatory ministry to oversee the gaming industry activities.
We have a bill or referral. The bill is for an act to enact the Central Gaming Bill to regulate the operation and business of all forms of online and remote gaming across the geographical boundaries of the federating units and beyond the borders of Nigeria.
In going through the bill, we noticed that in Section 2 of the proposed bill, it creates a governing board which does not specifically mention the Federal Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs as the supervisory ministry. Currently, the National Lottery Fund and the National Lottery Trust Fund were parastatals under my ministry. The Supreme Court judgment has come. Be it as it's made, whatever is happening, we're trying to find a solution to this.
And our concern is just the area of data privacy and protection. But when you are talking of online gaming, you need digital identity of whoever is participating in such gaming practice. And it's really important for such identity that must be shared by those participating for the identity to be protected, safeguarded, and processed in a safe and secured manner in line with the Nigeria Data Protection Act of 2023 passed by the 9th Assembly.
I will differ a bit from all the speakers that have come on board onto this podium. And we have made some submissions, but I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm finding out when I got here today that some of these committee members do not even know that there was a Supreme Court judgment. And the Supreme Court judgment exclusively said that any matters that is not in the exclusive list or the concurrent list, the National Assembly sees to legislate on that with all due respect. Gaming and lottery is a matter that is not in the exclusive list or the concurrent list. The Supreme Court judgment, I believe, supersedes anything that we do in this country. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, stated it clearly that gaming and lottery is not in those two lists that I mentioned.
As deliberations continue, the proposed Central Gaming Bill aims to address regulation gaps, enhance industry effectiveness, and secure a more structured gaming environment in Nigeria. Nigeria's petroleum products marketers and retailers imported 154.22 million liters of premium motor spirits from March 17 to 23, 2025, according to the Nigerian Ports Authority. This shows that the petroleum marketers and retailers within the period under review have looked elsewhere to secure petroleum products outside Dangote refinery. NPA's documents on Thursday indicated that vessels carrying 115,000 metric tons, representing 154.22 million liters of PMS, will bring in products through Tinkan Port in Lagos, the Lekki DC Port in Lagos, and the Calabar Port in Cross River State. The documents also revealed that the Dangote refinery imported 654,766 metric tons of crude oil within the same period. On Saturday, March 22 at 11:06 a.m., another vessel carrying 15,000 metric tons of fuel were berthed at the Calabar Port. It was assigned to Peak Shipping as its agent. At the same port, a vessel carrying 15,000 metric tons of fuel will arrive at the Echo Marine Terminal on Sunday at 5:10 p.m. This means the 7 vessels should bring in 115,000 metric tons. Summarily, going by the conversion rate of 1,341 liters to 1 metric ton, it therefore means that the petrol retailers and marketers are bringing in about 154.22 million liters of petrol within the period under review. The development comes amid the latest decision by Dangote Refinery to suspend its petroleum product sales in Naira. The 650,000 barrels per day refinery's decision to end sales in Naira is not unconnected to the stalemate in the Naira for crude sale deal with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. You're still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is international tidbits. At least 44 civilians were killed in a brutal attack by militants from the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara in Fambita, in a village in Niger's volatile Tillaberi region. Tillaberi, which borders Mali and Burkina Faso, has been a hotspot for jihadist activity, with ISGS and Al-Qaeda affiliated groups frequently launching attacks on both military and civilian targets. This was made known by Zagazola Makama, a counter-insurgency expert focused on the Lake Chad region, in a post on his X handle. Makama said intelligence sources told him that the assault occurred around 2 p.m. during Friday prayers. According to the reports, the heavily armed gunmen had stormed the village mosque and opened fire indiscriminately. The security experts stated that witnesses described the attack as a massacre of rare cruelty, with the militants executing villagers before setting fire to the local market and several homes. The security expert noted that no group has formally claimed responsibility for the attack. However, authorities have pointed to ISGS, which has intensified its operations in the area in recent months. Sudan's military said Saturday it seized several key buildings in central Khartoum from paramilitary control after Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan promised full liberation following the recapture of the presidential palace. Army spokesman Nabil Abdallah said the military was continuing to pressure the rapid support forces throughout the city center, giving a list of buildings recaptured, including the Central Bank, State Intelligence Headquarters, and the Sudan National Museum. Sudan's national institutions in the city were all overrun and looted by paramilitaries in the first weeks after fighting erupted in April 2023. On Friday, the army and allied army groups retook the presidential palace from the RSF, which retaliated with a drone strike that killed 3 journalists and several army personnel. The paramilitaries had used the palace to house their elite forces and stockpile ammunition, according to military sources. The battle for Khartoum's government and the financial district could consolidate the military's hold on the capital. It will provide a significant advantage in the country's devastating 2-year war, but is unlikely to end it. With its advance on Friday, the army has taken the entire left bank of the Blue Nile. It has also secured the main road routes across the White Nile from the city center to Khartoum's sister city of Omdurman. Since April 2023, the military led by Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has fought the RSF, headed by his former deputy Mohamed Hamdan Daglo. After a year and a half of humiliating defeat, the tide seemed to turn late last year when an army counter-offensive through central Sudan led to its recapture of much of Khartoum. Hezbollah denied firing rockets at Israel on Saturday as Israel struck southern Lebanon in response to 3 rockets it said were launched from across the border. In a statement, Hezbollah says it reiterates its commitment to the ceasefire agreement and stands behind the Lebanese state in addressing this dangerous Zionist escalation against Lebanon. The Israeli military had said it struck dozens of rocket launchers in Lebanon in response to cross-border rockets fire on Saturday. That conflict marked the deadliest spillover of the Gaza war, rumbling across the border for months before a blistering Israeli offensive that wiped out Hezbollah's top commanders, many of its fighters, and much of its arsenal. An Israeli official said that the identity of the group which fired the rockets was still unconfirmed. 6 rockets were fired, the official said, 3 of which crossed into Israel and were intercepted. Saturday's action was the first since Israel, in effect, abandoned a separate ceasefire in Gaza with Palestinian military group Hamas, an ally of Hezbollah, both backed by Israel's arch foe, Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump revoked the security clearances of his predecessor, Joe Biden, including Kamala Harris and several senior former White House and national security officials. The list of names stripped of their authorization to see state secrets included Biden, his family members, and former Vice President and Trump presidential rival Harris. Former Secretary of State and defeated presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was on the list, along with Biden's Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jacob Sullivan. In a memorandum to agency heads and distributed by the White House Communications Office, Trump said the named officials should no longer be allowed access to classified material. Former U.S. presidents and national security officials traditionally retain a security clearance as a courtesy, and some find it useful in seeking employment with private contractors. But Trump, who continues to falsely claim that Biden schemed to steal the 2020 election, which he lost, has remained furious with his predecessor and lashes out frequently. Trump was himself investigated for breaching security rules during the period between his first and second term in office by storing classified White House documents in his Mar-a-Lago resort. The investigation was wound up after Trump returned to office. Many of the individuals on Trump's list were high-profile political appointees of his Democratic predecessor, but former Republican lawmaker and vocal Trump critic Liz Cheney is also named. Here now is ATN Sports News. Super Eagles have arrived Uyo ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying match day 6 encounter with the Warriors of Zimbabwe. ATN reports that Nigeria defeated the Amavubi of Rwanda 2-0 in Kigali on Friday night. The players and their officials jetted into the Victor Atta International Airport on Saturday afternoon. They moved into the 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel Ikotekpene on their arrival. Eric Chell's side are expected to have a training session at the training pitch of the Gospel Babio International Stadium, Uyo, on Sunday. The Super Eagles will be up against the Warriors next week Tuesday. Former South Africa striker Sean Bartlett had heaped praises on Victor Osimhen after the Galatasaray hitman inspired Nigeria's 2-0 win over Rwanda in Kigali on Friday. Osimhen scored both goals for Nigeria in the counter played at the Amahoro Stadium, Kigali. The 26-year-old gave Nigeria the lead in the 11th minute, slotting home Ademola Lookman's cross. The 26-year-old doubled the advantage in the first half stoppage time. Osimhen stole the ball from Thierry Manzi and went on the run before placing the ball beyond the onrushing Fabrice Touare. Boxing heavyweight legend George Foreman has died aged 76. Known as Big George in the ring, the American built one of the most remarkable and enduring careers in the sport, winning Olympic gold in 1968 and claiming the world heavyweight title twice, 21 years apart, the second making him the oldest champion in history, aged 45. He lost his first title to Muhammad Ali in their famous Rumble in Jungle Fight in 1974. But overall, he boasted an astonishing total of 76 wins, including 68 knockouts, almost double that of Ali. Foreman retired in 1997, but not before he agreed to put his name to a best-selling grill, a decision that went on to bring him fortunes that dwarfed his boxing earnings. Tributes poured in from others across the sport, with former world heavyweight champion Mike Tyson saying Foreman's contribution to boxing and beyond will never be forgotten. The Ring magazine, often dubbed the Bible of boxing, described him as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. And now, entertainment news. Nollywood actress Nkechi Umweje has died after a brief illness. Umweje's death was confirmed on Saturday by movie producer Stanley Ajemba, popularly known as Stanley on Top, via his Instagram handle. Ajemba paid tribute to Umweje, describing her as a vibrant actress and his best friend. He recalled their first conversation was during the Queen saga, where she advised him to stop. Another veteran Nollywood actress, Rita Edochie, shared a candlelight with a dark background via her Instagram on Friday with the caption, "This world is really not our own." One actor, Asa Ikuku, also took to his Instagram handle to announce the demise of the actress. Umweje is survived by her husband, Dr. Azubike Umweje, and 6 children. She was known for her comedy performances in Nollywood, particularly legacy in the industry. American hip-hop legend Kanye West has released a controversial list of his 12 most iconic rappers in history. In the list, which he tagged as 12 rap kings, West mentioned himself, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, Biggie Smalls, Tupac, 50 Cent, Eminem, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Nas, and Rakim as the greatest rappers of all time. Sharing the list via his ex handle, he wrote, "There are 12 rap kings." The list sparked controversy, with many challenging Kanye West for excluding Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and other hip-hop royalties from the list. Kanye West recently revealed that he doesn't like Kendrick Lamar's music, despite admitting that he's very good. Last year, he slammed J. Cole for apologizing to Kendrick Lamar over a diss track he made in response to Lama dissing him and Drake on the song. West insisted that J. Cole goofed by apologizing to Kendrick Lamar. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go and look at our major stories. Rivers Sole Administrator promises to share 1.670